more things now for the customer. You can expand your concept of what you do and say, what does that put me in position to do next? Okay? Now, I've talked about trees before and how trees are the most prolific growers on the planet besides bacteria. And to grow like a tree, you have to have a solid core that is very, very productive in getting resources efficiently, not wasting a lot of resources, but channeling them to the areas of growth. So when you make your company very, very lean so that it produces cash that can get to the growth areas, it looks like this. Kind of like a tree, there's the core that spins the cash out to be able to do things in new geographies where you plan different initiatives, startups, acquisitions, into new fast-growing segments, LED lighting, solar and wind power, pursuing new plants that may be going up in the area. Automotive plants are still going up in certain areas. New product and service adjacencies, new types of customers that you want to pursue, and basically all of the initiatives to do customer retention through demand creation and getting more from existing accounts. Each of these is an initiative that you plan separately and thoroughly to get the growth that you want. So you literally make like a tree and first make yourself very productive and then simultaneously plan a number of growth initiatives at a time so that the total is the growth that you want. Now, what do you got to do also like a tree? Well, you got to absorb knowledge and you've got to be inspired. Trees absorb solid nutrients and water. Knowledge, inspiration. Solid nutrients, knowledge, water, inspiration. So a company and a person grow in a very parallel fashion to a tree. And here's that sound growth progression just like a tree would do when it adds bands around the core and it feeds those meristems, those bud clusters on the outer part of the tree, where 80% of the growth of the tree happens out there on the edges as opposed to expanding in the trunk core, so that it has a larger core to feed the volume of growth that is happening out there on the branches. And what you do is you leverage that core business. What I mean by that, you use resources from the core that serve the new businesses too. You might have to add some new resources to do it, but the lion's share of the resources can be used to serve the new markets. Now, what does that do for you? Raises your ROI like crazy because you don't have to add much in terms of core resources, but you're getting additional gross margin on top of that investment. So your ROI goes up like crazy. And if you've automated your core functions, your core accounting functions, your core distribution, your core picking functions, your core delivery functions, automated as much as you can, you don't have to add staff people at headquarters to be able to handle the business. Well, you don't have to add near as much as you would if you were all manual. So the first thing around the core is to solidify your positions and keep getting the growth that you already got. If you lose some of the growth you already got, it's like a tax on the growth that comes after that, and we'll go over all ways to do that. The second thing is to get more from each customer. So solidify your position, get as many product lines and services as you can from each customer with efficient analysis and marketing and value added services to that customer. And the next thing on top of that that's more difficult than the first two is take market share at competitors' customers, the next band. So see, we're getting bigger. We're pushing out from that core, but leveraging the core resources to serve these new markets we're getting into. Then the next thing you want to do is get high share of the fastest growing segments. Now there's a debate. Depending on the company, that may be more difficult for you than creating demand. Sometimes you might want to reverse these in order, depending on what your company feels is more difficult. Now, what do I mean by high share of fastest growing segments? Well, if you know that solar is growing and wind is growing, and you know that LED lighting is growing, and you know anything else is growing, you want to learn everything you can about those markets in terms of where they are, how you pursue them, and the resources needed to put in, and how you need to market to them, and what kind of allies you need in a territory to go after that, such as solar. You got to have installation allies to develop the business, and they need distribution allies. People know how to get product to market and you need to have a coalition of people in a market to be able to go after that. So you got to learn everything you can, which that may be more difficult for you than just simple creation of demand, which is basically making people aware of problems they don't know they have. The many problems, installation problems, residential customers in their kitchens with their lighting in the whole house, or the lighting mistakes, automation application mistakes that people typically make, and you position yourself as having the solution to take care of those problems. Problem first, solution second. A lot of customers, potential customers, they don't know they have the problem, they don't know there's a solution, or they don't know you're the one with the better solution. So there's a demand creation opportunity out there if you define the problems that people have in each segment that you serve, and then you create the solutions to each of those problems and you market exactly that way. Okay? So that's create demand on top of get high. And then we move into the most powerful growth method known. And I'm going to go into one of those as hopefully as some real inspiration for what you can do with market adjacencies to really expand your horizons, get into new things that you've never thought of going after. But if you learn to think differently, if you learn to see differently, if you learn to see things you're seeing today in a different light, very different light, you will see them as opportunities, whereas before you did not. So that's what it's all about. This is the sound growth progression, that as you do these things, you will expand outward outside the core business, so you are not limited to the business, type of products, type of customers, the way you serve them today. I'm trying to expand your thinking into new areas so that you can grow despite the depressed level of demand that you may be experiencing. Okay. Now, what is an adjacency? As long as I was on that and last in that slide, it's a business that is next to what you're doing right now. For instance, the cleaning business, crews were already at customers and they could change floor mats, water plants, and office buildings in addition to just going out there and cleaning places, and they were leveraging the cost that they already spent to be out there and adding additional gross margin on top of that cost.